Welcome everyone to our first IGRC 2024 webinar in 2023. Very happy to be here. My name is Julie Gaudreau. I'm the Executive Director of the International Gas Research Conference that will be held in Banff in May 2024. As some of you might know, the Canadian Gas Association was selected to host a conference by the International Gas Union, the IGU, which represent the global gas value chain. So we're very proud to host the world's largest conference on gas innovation, bringing gas industry experts from around the world to discuss innovation and new technology and research in the gas sector. Natural gas enhances the quality of life around the world, and the industry works hard to ensure the reliable delivery of this clean, secure, and affordable energy. So, this is why we're planning a variety of thematic streams for the conference, include emissions management, alternative gaseous fuels, gas and electric integration, small scale liquefied natural gas, and others. And the IGRC will also bring innovation to another level because innovation goes beyond technology. We will introduce social innovation as new ways of working with people and communities that enable development of new projects and, by extension, the successful deployment of technological innovation. So we invite you to visit our website at igrc2024.org to stay informed of upcoming activities and the launch of our call for abstracts scheduled in May. Now, just a brief summary of the topic of our webinar today. The Global Natural Gas Vehicle Market Panel will provide today a high-level vision of how and where medium and heavy-duty natural gas vehicles are being successfully deployed. With a focus on innovation, it will provide insight into how technical and engineering innovations are being incorporated into natural gas as a vehicle fuel and how fleets that have switched to natural gas from diesel are reaping the economic and environmental benefits of those innovations. So we really hope you enjoyed this discussion. A few things about the logistics. Your microphones will be muted for the duration of the panelist and moderator exchanges. If you have any questions for the panelists, you can type them into the chat for the short question period we'll have at the end. Now, let me introduce you to our moderator, my colleague Bruce Winchester, Executive Director of the Canadian Natural Gas Vehicle Alliance. I will let him introduce our three panelists who will participate to this discussion. Bruce, over to you. Thank you.
Merci, Julie. Thanks for that great introduction. And thanks for the opportunity to present this panel. We've got a great group here. We're going to try and take a global view. Little word at the beginning. We had originally included an additional fleet from Europe, Alfredson Transportation. Unfortunately, due to illness, which apparently is something that happens this time of year, they're unable to join. We will find a time in the future to have a bit of a conversation and unpack the European experience, and so we're gonna hopefully reconnect with Alfredson and some others and have a discussion about that in the future. In the meantime, let's get back to today's planned discussion, which is going to look at the global NGV market in the medium and heavy duty transportation. So we've got a significant original equipment manufacturer scheduled, and we've got a couple of fleets. So we'll be able to have a good discussion about innovation and about what's going on in the sector. So challenge being, I think, again, logging in and what have you can sometimes be problematic. So I'm going to list the order of the planned speakers. We may do a little bit of an adjustment as we go and recalibrate, but we've got Puneet from Cummins, who's going to give us their perspective on global NGV market and sort of their view as an equipment provider. We have Nicolás from NRG, which is a transportational logistics company located in Argentina in South America. We've got Kelly with ColdStar Solutions, a transportation company located here in North America, in Canada. And I'm going to see if Puneet has been able to join us yet. He was scheduled to be the first speaker. It doesn't. Let's see if he's connected. We will only waste a minute or two verifying that point, and otherwise I will do a little adjustment. Oh, there I see Puneet. Fantastic.
I'm having troubles joining, Bruce. I'm trying to see if I can join on the phone and the computer.
Okay.
Just absolutely stuck around in the circle of death.
All right. So these things happen. Do we have Puneet's slide that we're able to put up on the screen with us now? All right, Puneet, you remember the contents of your slide well. This is your opportunity to give us a little bit of the global view from Cummins. So we'll do it as you're set up now. If you have to come back in and join us with a better connection, please do that. But why don't you give us a little overview of what Cummins sees in the marketplace, where Cummins sits, and where natural gas engines fit into your view.
Sure, thanks, Bruce. And I hope I'm audible enough on this one. So my hand's gonna shake a little bit because I'm holding the camera on the hand.
All good.
On the phone. So thank you for having me on this panel, and thank you for inviting Cummins. I think it's a pleasure to be here and pleasure to talk about the capabilities that Cummins has, and certainly dive a little more deeper into the natural gas space or any of the other technologies. Cummins inherently has been known as a diesel engine manufacturer for the longest period of time, but we started calling ourselves a power solutions company now because we understand the changing times and also understand that there are new technologies that are coming up. So the reason why I kind of picked the slide that I have on the screen is twofold. One, to kind of showcase the capability that we have, that we are trying to accelerate towards our destination zero, which is our path to decarbonization. And we think that is one of the biggest opportunities and certainly one of the biggest problems that we have across the world. So why we think we are poised to succeed on that one, because we've probably got the largest pool of talent capability that is spending towards trying to solve these problems. We've got over 11,000 people who are working, trying to get patents and develop technologies which have never been. We have a global presence. We are existing in almost all the countries across the world, and then we've also got a very large footprint of the technology centers. So we not only are present in the US or in the North American market, Europe, China, and India, but we've got a spread of territories where we can kind of leverage the global talent that we have. We can work through across different technology centers and technical centers to develop multiple components of the engines and then kind of bring it all together. We are spending over $1 billion on R&D, and that includes that's the highest that we've ever spent, and we will continue to spend that kind of money on the products and solutions that we have. And then certainly once we have the solutions, we are proud that we have the capability to support them through our dealers, our technicians that kind of work day in and day out to support the product. And on the right-hand side, the reason why I showed this was that Cummins has been in the business long enough to understand on transportation that there is not one lever or one technology that is going to solve the problem. We need a multitude of technologies to get us there. And that's why we are spending the kind of money we are on not only advancing our diesels and making sure that the diesel engines that we have get better at emissions and more efficient every day, but we've also got solutions that have natural gas. We have propane. We are developing gasoline solutions. We are developing hydrogen solutions, both in terms of the internal combustion engine, also on fuel cells. And then certainly we've got battery electric solutions as well and hybrids that are available depending on what the application is. And this has not just been a lip service to us. We have been doing it. So we've probably got the largest spread of technology that is out there in the market and is currently running and operational. So we've got over 2,000 fuel cells which have been deployed, some in the train sector and certainly some in the transportation or the truck industry. We've got over 500 battery electric vehicles. We've got over 6,000 battery modules and packs that are out there with customers that are gaining experience, that are helping customers on the path to decarbonization. So all in all, I think we are super excited that we are on this journey. We are committed to decarbonization. We think it is a big opportunity, and we want to certainly partner with the industry and make sure that we get to the right solutions for the right applications.
So Puneet, I'm going to ask you one little quick question, absent from the slide. What's the number of natural gas units that you have deployed globally?
That's a hard one to say, Bruce. We don't keep a track of those, but I would think that we are over about 100,000 units or so globally.
I've seen 100,000 number attributed to Cummins and Cummins Westport in the past, so that sounds about right. We're gonna take a minute and chat with a couple of fleets in a second. Puneet, I promise we'll come back and talk about a couple of products, including the X15N, and we'll come back to that because it's a great opportunity to talk about innovation. But that's a great overview from Cummins, and I think it gives us a sense of how big the challenge is to find emissions reductions. So next time I'm going to chat with Nicolás with NRG, and again, if we can put their slide up so we can have the particulars. NRG is a fleet operator, and so we'll get a little bit of an overview from their perspective, and I'm gonna ask the tough question about innovation in this case, and this is innovation of using a new type of fuel. So Nicolás, tell us a little bit about what your company does and where you've used natural gas vehicles.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. Well, NRG is the first fully integrated supplier of frac sand in Argentina, working from the quarries to the well during the whole process. We operate several sand quarries where we do the mining of the sand, then haul the raw material to our own processing plant, where we wash the sand, dry it, and then classify it in different qualities or thickness. And then we deliver the product to the oil and gas operations through the last mile, where we haul the sand from our processing plant or storage facilities to the well, and the pipe handling services, where we receive the sand in storage silos that deliver the sand to the blender for the fracking. We have 3 storage facilities and a capacity to deliver 90,000 tons of frac sand to the industry per month. So energy is focused, and you know that there is a big importance in transport in all our process. It's critical, so we put a lot of effort and focus on the transport sector. Energy has adopted an ESG strategy, so we are committed with the reduction of the greenhouse gas pollution and noise emissions, making for these CNG trucks more attractive compared to the common diesel ones. And we're fully convinced that natural gas is the fuel of the energy transition, with focus and application to the transport sector. And there are many reasons why we decided to rely on CNG for heavy transport in Argentina. Well, our fleet is made by 100 trucks of CNG and 60 diesel ones. And as you can see in the slide, last year we traveled 9 million kilometers with the CNG trucks and 3 million with the diesel ones. And considering the 9 million kilometers traveled by CNG compared to the diesel, we had all these savings in pollutants and CO2 and all you can see in the slide.
This is great. We're going to come back to a couple of these themes. It's an excellent example of a fleet. It's heavy weight with sand. You're traveling into, I assume, energy producing area. That's a challenging application for truck. And it's a great case. So we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about the experience that you've had, and we'll sort of unpack a little bit of sort of innovation and how that's worked as a fleet operator. Next up, we've got Kelly from ColdStar Solutions. Kelly, we'll get your slide up here. We'll do a little overview of your fleet, and you can give us a few of the details of what your experience has been so far.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Glad to be here. So ColdStar is a grocery wholesaler and distribution company here on Vancouver Island, and British Columbia, Canada. We currently have 45 trucks in our fleet, with 25 of those trucks running on CNG at this time. I always like to say that if COVID hadn't happened, our goal was to be 100% off of diesel by the end of 2023. Obviously, that has been delayed, but we're hoping to get back on track. So we put the first CNG trucks in service in March of 2014. Those were the first edition of the ISX 11.9, and now we currently have expanded on that, like I said. So we do 100% compressed natural gas, we're not using liquid natural gas. And for us, we're delivering into communities every day, the retail grocery stores. So having the emissions reduced and not blowing black smoke is a big deal. And one of the things that's always nice too is that we've seen is our trucks, as you can see, are all white. It's running natural gas has reduced our pressure washing bill significantly. We're not having to wash all the black smoke off. But the drivers love them. We're very committed to this. And here in BC, one of the big advantages is that we can calculate our carbon credits every year. And just as an example, with only 25 trucks running this past year, we were able to create 413 credits and then sold those and put $185,850 into our bank account, which goes a long way to allowing us to buy more CNG trucks. So it's been a great program, and we're excited about the future.
Well, that's great, Kelly. Different sort of fleet than Nicolás's. You're serving a grocery industry. Obviously, you can operate with lighter weights and a little less requirement for horsepower and what have you. So I'm sure these are some of the themes we'll be able to unpack a little bit. Why don't we bring all the three panelists in together here? We'll turn this into a bit of a conversation. We get everybody involved here, and we'll bring Puneet in. And now, are you still on the phone, Puneet, or have you managed to get the computer? Computer's good, but it's muted. I'm going to give Puneet a minute to get the mutes and all of that worked out. We're going to switch. We're going to just chat with Nicolás and Kelly. Look, one of the big innovations here that we want to keep in mind is that you've gone to a new fuel. Can either of you give me a little bit of a sense of kind of how you did the process and what were some of the sticky wickets that you experienced when you embarked on the journey? I'm going to start with Nicolás because we just heard from Kelly just a second ago. Nicolás, can you give us a sense of the challenges and the journey from not having any natural gas trucks to having the current fleet of 100?
Okay, let me explain to you why we chose to rely on CNG for our operations. First of all, the CNG trucks have low repayment time of the additional capex due to the lower OPEX. Secondly, in Argentina, there is a high amount of underdeveloped gas reservoirs, and there will be a high investment in the future to improve infrastructure, so we can assure there will be a secure supply of natural gas at competitive prices for a long time. The third reason would be the substitution of imports, because the liquid fuel used for heavy trucks in Argentina is imported. And so using a local produced fuel as CNG, we help saving foreign currency used for imports, helping us achieve a positive trade balance for the country. Another reason would be the robust and widespread natural gas distribution infrastructure developed since the 90s. Argentina has a strong distribution infrastructure, supplying gas to more than 2,000 CNG stations and more than 1.7 million vehicles, with only 500 of them being CNG heavy trucks, and we have 100 of those 500. Well, only minor adaptations are required for heavy trucks regarding regulatory issues, such as compressor flow, pressure, charging peaks, or the gas station design. Then if we compare the CNG with the LNG, we find that CNG is cheaper because, the compression of natural gas requires less energy and cost than the liquefaction and gasification. And the LNG has no infrastructure inside the country. It's mostly used for the imports transported by ships. And LNG can produce also gas leaks if temperature is not maintained properly, with methane going directly to the atmosphere, which is without recovery, which is what we want to avoid. And, there is a lot of stranded gas available in Argentina due to the underdeveloped infrastructure for exporting natural gas with respect to the potential we could produce in Argentina. So again, the demand of CNG will always be covered with local production, securing our supply.
So one question that we get often is, what about the drivers? Was it challenging getting truck operators and drivers in Argentina to get interested and happy with operating a natural gas vehicle?
Yes, there were, a lot of challenges with that, but we had a lot of help from our truck supplier, a lot of training done by them to our own mechanical staff and our own drivers. And we're constantly doing this for the new drivers we employ, and it's good. It's working good. They are happy, actually. They are happy because of the noise. It's much lower than other trucks. They are really happy with the trucks, the drivers.
And just for the record, you're operating with Iveco trucks, correct?
Yes, Iveco.
So that's so you're working closely with your Iveco dealer network, and that's certainly helpful in getting the drivers comfortable and happy with it. Kelly, what would you say from the North American to the Canadian perspective? Some similarities, differences from
Yeah, very similar as far as the driver experience. When we first got the 10 trucks in 2014, we couldn't get anybody to drive them. Nobody wanted to get out of the diesel truck and stuff. So we ended up, we had the 10 trucks, the 10 diesel trucks that the guys were using. We brought in the CNG trucks, and we actually took away the keys for the diesel trucks for 2 weeks. I had the keys in my desk, and if somebody wanted a diesel truck, they had to come and ask me, and then I'd ask them why they weren't going to drive the other one. We did all the training. Cummins was fantastic with us and training the guys. And then after about 2 weeks, I put all the keys back in the key press, and nobody wanted to drive the diesel trucks, so we sold them. So it took a little bit, and now our guys will not. Like, if you tell them they've got to drive a diesel truck, they get quite cranky. So the noise, we deliver groceries, so they don't want to be smelling like diesel fuel, that sort of stuff. It's been a very positive experience.
So another thing that Nicolás mentioned, so I'll get you to comment on this as well, Kelly, was, their part of their rationale was not importing fuel anymore, abundant infrastructure. Can you give us a little comment on sort of the North American experience? What's the dynamic there? Good infrastructure, good partners?
Yeah, we, here in BC, we've been very fortunate to partner with Fortis BC. That's our gas supplier here. They've been absolutely instrumental in helping us navigate that. They've built stations where we needed them. They had incentives in place to help us purchase the trucks. Just been a fabulous partner. And so we're very, very fortunate to have them in our corner.
Excellent. So Puneet is back, and I'm gonna pull Puneet in on this. So we've heard from the fleets. They've talked a little bit about the rationale for moving to natural gas. It being emissions reductions, of course, ability to use local fuel, kind of changing up the dynamics in the economy in some respects. They've had to lean pretty heavily on the OEMs to help them with this innovation journey, to help them have drivers, et cetera, comfortable with that. So from the perspective of Cummins, what are the kinds of things that you've done and that you're doing in various global markets to support these fleets as they go on this journey to move away from diesel and toward natural gas?
I think, Bruce,
It's a great question. I think for us, yeah, at Cummins, we've always been trying to spend a portion of our money in different kind of R&D technologies that we think would make sense. And I think we ratchet up our spending when we realize that that we can make that technology commercially available. With natural gas, I think that journey started about 50 years ago, and about 30 years ago is when we brought the first engine in. I think to what Kelly was saying, it's been instrumental that I don't think Cummins can do things alone. So we need partners like Kelly and certainly some of the other big fleets, UPS and Waste Management, who have helped kind of bring natural gas engines and vehicles to the market. We've always worked very closely with fleets in terms of understanding what the need is, and certainly trying to make sure that their technicians are trained to be able to support the product. We've had to up our game on our technicians. We've certainly had to look at our field operations and the facilities that we have. And that's just to support the customer. But I think we've also kind of pedaled back and looked at our internal R&D and said that how could we do things differently, and when does it come a point to continuously innovate on products so that we can bring the natural gas engine as close as parity to the diesel products, so that in terms of power, performance, fuel economy, reliability, the engines have kind of gotten better and better and better over a period of time. So it's been a fairly continuous journey for us, and it has not been an easy journey, and certainly we've learned a lot on the way, and fleets have helped us as well. But it is a collaborative effort that we do, and a lot goes on between working with the fleets in terms of where they need the help, including feedback from drivers when they drive the vehicles, our testing processes. So all of that kind of put together helps us bring a product into the market, which when Kelly says that he was able to force his drivers to use it and they liked the experience, I think it's all a part of kind of bringing the technology up to the market.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity for innovation, and there's a really great partnership between OEMs like Cummins and I would assume Iveco as well, and the fleets. We're going to come back to that in a second, and I think we want to talk a little bit about the N15 engine, which is a global product, but we'll come back in a second. I got a question that I'm going to put to each of the two fleet guys, and it's a quick question. So I'll start with Kelly, I'll go to Nicolás, and it's really simple. What's the cost difference on a per liter basis, natural gas versus diesel? So Kelly, what's that delta that you're dealing with right now?
I should have looked that up, but the number that I go by is currently right now. I think diesel costs today are in the 140 range per liter. So now this is Canadian dollars, so but $1.40, and our CNG's probably in around 75 cents. Now you burn a little more CNG than you do diesel, but even still, the number I go by is we are saving at least 25% in our daily operating costs for fuel usage, which is huge.
So 75 cents for CNG, $1.40 for diesel, up approximately.
Ballparking, like I say, and it fluctuates a little bit.
Don't worry, we're not going to hold you to it.
Yeah, well, the part, though, that is huge is that CNG doesn't fluctuate as dramatically as diesel does. So, in a trucking business where we're having to pass on those expenses to our customers, when we're all diesel, we're changing our fuel surcharge constantly to our customers. Ever since we went to CNG, we only do it quarterly, and because it stays more, flat. So, and we like that. That's
customers
a lot better
like it too.
Oh, they love it. It's way better. So.
And Nicolás, what's the price spread in Argentina between CNG and diesel?
Well, I should have prepared the numbers too, but in my mind I have the consumption is like 0.5 liters per kilometer for the diesel and 0.5 cubic meters per kilometer for the CNG. And you can say 1 liter of diesel is $1, and the cubic meter is something like half a dollar.
50 cents.
So it's like, like that.
It's the price spread is really, really compelling. There's, as Kelly's alluded to, there's a little hair on that. You got to worry about efficiency, slight efficiency losses, and so and the upfront charges and stuff like that. So the savings are a little lower than the raw fuel savings, but still, that's the the sticker that you see when you go, well, $2 a liter retail price for diesel and 85 cents or $1 for CNG. Boy, that's half as much. That can be quite compelling. Okay, let's pivot a little bit and talk about the 15-liter engine, because I think it's a good opportunity to talk about innovation. I don't know how it compares to what's in the Iveco truck. Maybe we'll come back to that after Puneet talks a little more. I know that it'll have some similarities to the 12-liter engines that Kelly has a lot of familiarity with, which are an older product. But this is a good example for us, or a good opportunity for us to talk a bit about innovation. How did you get from the 12-liter to the 15-liter, and what, sort of why and what is driving your Cummins is interest in getting that type of power plant out in the marketplace?
Yeah, thanks, Bruce, again for the question. I think it's there's a multitude of things why we decide what a product is right. One, certainly we've got to look at the market dynamics and see whether the market is ripe enough for a product that is of the size and the capability that is there. We've also got to be able to look at our engineering assessment and capability, whether we can get a product which would help improve the market dynamics in terms of where it is, and get to a technology where it gets a little more stable. And so we've been looking at a 15, I think, for quite a while. We weren't sure that the market was ready for a product at a scale that we wanted to bring it in. And then, like we said on the recent announcements of the fuel agnostic platform, we wanted to try and do something where we could have a platform which is kind of similar to each other on multiple fuel types, with little or minimal changes to the product, which will help the OEMs to integrate the product. And we've been looking at multiple markets for it. So the X15N, we think it is the right time to bring it across to the US as a product, because we can, the technology's got a lot more stable, and we've got a lot more capability to be able to kind of get over the problems that we saw on the 12-liter platform. But then we also looked at a little bit of a scale in this from a global standpoint, and saw that there was an opportunity to leverage some of the work that we would do in the China market as well, and use some of that leverage to develop a product that would help deliver the ROIs that we were looking for.
So one of the questions I got here, just to pause for a second here. First of all, we're getting questions from people on the comment section, and I encourage folks to put some questions in there. I'm pulling them out as we go. Someone was asking about sort of the rollout of the 15-liter in China. Puneet, can you give us a little bit of an insight as to sort of what occurred there, and sort of what that looked like, and some insights you can provide about the China rollout?
Yeah, so we've had the product running in China now for a while. We launched the product last year in China. Well, maybe 2021 is when we launched the product in China, and we've had the product running for over a year in production. We've certainly had the program, which was a lot longer than last year. So we've got a fair amount of experience in the China market on that product. The feedback that we've got from customers is that they love the product. They love the reliability of the product. We've certainly had some teething issues, but it's not just something of a super concern for us, and we are fixing it as we go. But it's all of the things that we were trying to sort out for the problems that we saw in the 12-liter, we've been able to mitigate that. So none of the problems are there. The engine is stable. The architecture is stable. It's delivering good fuel economy. The customers are happy. They're driving the routes and like making more money than they were as compared to the diesel engines. So it is all good news on the China front, but we are not stopping there. We are taking the learnings that we've had in China and continuously making sure that whatever improvements we are doing to the current product in China, they are getting ported to the product that we are going to launch here in the US as well. So our teams both in China and US are working together on this one. A lot of work is happening in the US, but there is a lot of data and information exchange that happens through the China team.
Okay, so I'm gonna get the other two fleets to kind of chime in here. Are you looking for an engine that's got more output, horsepower? I mean, is this part of what your challenge has been, Kelly or Nicolás?
Well, for myself, the 12 liter, as far as power, has been fine. And we don't really require much more than that. We're excited about the 15 liter, though, for a different reason. We, especially in the early trucks, did have lots of challenges with the early adoption of that engine. And when I look at the specs of the 15 liter, I just think that they've done some amazing stuff to eliminate any risk. And our drivers are never going to complain about having more power than less. So, so as far as I think it'll allow us to pull some heavier weights that we'd like to be able to do on occasion. But yeah, so for us, we're excited about it. But in the meantime, if we could buy a 12 liter engine today, we would. So it really doesn't matter. Our challenge is just getting trucks right now. It's really challenging.
We could have a whole panel on the challenge of getting trucks, drivers, mechanics, all sorts of stuff. It's the supply chain is a global challenge, and that's definitely not made our lives easy. What about in Argentina? Are you looking for more horsepower, more output, improved efficiencies, things like that? Does that
actually our fleet is made of 460 or 480 horsepower, and we're good with it. We didn't have any complaints either about getting more power for the trucks.
So you're able to carry the loads efficiently, effectively. Your drivers are happy with that.
Yeah,
we've certainly seen in North America. We've certainly seen certain types of trucking fleets being unhappy with the limitations of the 12 liter engine, and of course that's been why this 15 liter engine, this Cummins engine, is so interesting and very anticipated in the North American market. But by contrast, in the European market, the 13 liter Volvo product has been pretty successful and has worked well. We don't have the benefit of Alfredson kind of giving us that perspective, but we know that as a contrast point. So somebody has asked me a question here, and I don't know if we can actually answer this collectively, but what are the top 3 natural gas engines in this sort of, let's call it, heavy duty truck segment globally? Puneet, I'll ask you to first.
I want to say Cummins, but I think it'll be unfair to say it. So I think there are some good European players in Europe who manufacture engines, natural gas engines as well. So I think globally, if you look at it, I would think that there are a few Chinese players who are very predominant in the China market that operate there. And then if you kind of circle across the pond on there to go down to the India market, again, the Indian market is primarily a smaller segment of the market for this 4-cylinder market, or maybe even smaller than that for natural gas vehicles. But if you look at the heavy hauls, and you could quantify that differently, I would think that in the European market, there are some European players that are very dominant. Cummins certainly is dominant in the North American market, and then we are getting fairly dominant in the China space as well. We've still got to see how the European market would react to some of the changes. And then India, I think, has a while to go before it gets to a point to say that you could use an engine like a 15 liter engine in that market.
Okay. So Nicolás, you mentioned the output is of 480 horsepower is what you're working with.
Yeah, 460, mostly the
460?
CNG trucks.
Okay. And Kelly, what's the output for yours?
400.
400.
We run
And
Yeah,
Puneet,
sorry, and Bruce. The one caveat I wanted to mention is that we don't pull any of the mountain passes or anything.
Yeah.
So where there's a lot of companies here in BC that would want the 12-liter because they run the mountains. So there's a big differential.
yeah, you had a good fit with the technology, and it's worked well.
Yeah.
For your company. Puneet, what's the output rating for the 15-liter product?
So for the 15, we are trying to bring in as close as possible to the diesel, so it'll have 500 HP. We want to try and mimic the torque curve, which is pretty similar to how we've got on the diesel product today. So it'll certainly be more than what 12 has been, but the higher end of the 12 will have a rating which will potentially cover the higher rating of the 12-liter as well, which could be covered by the 15 as well.
But definitely more than 400.
Yes, definitely more than 400.
Okay. So there was a question about efficiency loss. This is a good way to kind of talk about innovation. There's some other interesting ones that we might get into as well. Kelly, what was your experience around efficiency loss? Quantify that.
Yeah, we don't really notice it. What's important, I think, for people to know is that when you go to spec out your truck, you have to know what the engine can do, that sort of stuff. So in our first trucks, we had a little more efficiency loss because we didn't put the right rear ends in, we didn't put the right transmission in, that sort of stuff. But Cummins has come along and really helped with that. So they can look at what we want the truck to do and then put the right transmission, put the right rear ends in. And we eliminated a lot of that efficiency loss just by speccing the truck right. So we've learned through, over the years how to do that. We currently run a 13-speed automatic transmission we had a 13-speed standard transmission before, and now we've gone to, I think it's a 12-speed. I'm not sure exactly, but it's an automatic transmission, which has helped to eliminate all of those challenges. So.
And Nicolás, what was your experience in terms of efficiency loss?
For us, efficiency would not be transmission or engine, would be more for the operation, money, time. So we had to fight with large replenish times for the tanks, because the CNG stations on the road are mostly with low flow or low pressure gas compressors. Right. The variations due to the temperature, in summer, hot temperatures causes less volume to be charged on the tanks. And we had to fight with delayed regulatory issues, like charging peaks, charging pressures. And for all this, we adopted a lot of solutions. The most important one is the construction of a captive gas station inside our processing plant with high flow compressors and temperature control chillers. So this will allow us to load more gas into the tanks, giving us more autonomy in kilometers with one charge. We had a lot of frequent meetings with the technical staff of regulatory agencies to help us improve in the regulatory framework regarding CNG heavy vehicles and gas stations. And for example, lately we have achieved a change in the charging peak. The previous peak, which is mostly used in Argentina, has an obstruction that doesn't let you use high flow compressors. So the charging times, for example, in a CNG station on the road is maybe 1 hour, 45 minutes. And in our own CNG station, we charge the tank in 5, 6, 7 minutes.
That's almost uncivilized, some of those refueling times. So I'm gonna
Bruce, sorry, I'm just gonna put a plug in. What Kelly said is right. I think we continuously look to develop the spec tool to help the fleet spec the vehicles that they need for the jobs and the routes that they have. So we, including the 15, when we come out with the 15-liter product as well, or even when we come out with our propane and our octane engines, we'll certainly make sure that all of the elements are included in our tool to be able to help fleets plan that a little better so that the operational losses are less.
It's
Okay.
crucial.
So there's another question I'm going to put to the three of you in no particular order necessarily. Maintenance cost differences. Maybe I'll put Puneet on the spot. Cummins probably doesn't like to cast one against the other, but how do you characterize them? Difference CNG versus diesel in terms of maintenance costs.
I'm gonna try and give an answer which most people may not like, but today, as it stands, the natural gas engine costs more to maintain than a diesel engine. Our attempt 15 is to try and minimize and reduce that delta to maintain the vehicle. Couple of things that have happened. One is the fact that the product failure rate has been more on a natural gas product as against to a diesel product in the past. It has come down drastically, and with the 15, we are going to try and reduce that gap as to a bare minimum as possible. And then we are also trying to find a way to extend the drain intervals and the spark plug intervals on the 15-liter product, so that the maintenance becomes a little better. The only rider that I will say to all the fleets who are looking at natural gas engines is that we urge that you maintain your vehicles on time, because natural gas vehicles are less forgiving on pushing and playing around with maintenance intervals. A diesel product is more stable on that one, and we can maybe run a few more 1,000 miles on the same oil or on the same injectors.
The oil interval being the really sticky one.
Right. And then, so I think that's the only plug that I would have, is to say that please maintain the vehicles on time. And if you do that, natural gas vehicles last forever. We've got examples in India where we've got products that have ran for over 15 years, and they've covered millions and millions of miles, about 5 million miles or so, and they're still running.
So, Kelly, what was your experience with maintenance costs?
I would say that the key to it was staying on time with the maintenance. When we were a little more relaxed on that, our costs would go up because we would have problems with coils and spark plugs and stuff like that. But we have our own shop and our own mechanics that are fully trained. Our trucks are returned to base every day, so they're in a pretty good maintenance schedule. As soon as we got that figured out, it's a little bit more, but the overall cost of ownership of the truck is significantly less than a diesel. So we're fine with it, but you do have to stay on top of the maintenance for sure.
And what about you, Nicolás? What's the maintenance experience been like?
Well, besides the 100 CNG trucks, we also have 60 diesel ones. So for our whole fleet, we have an agreement with Iveco for the maintenance. We also have our mechanical staff, but we work mostly with their certified workshops, and the maintenance agreement is like similar for both trucks. We just try to use our trucks for the missions they are prepared, trying to innovate with CNG. We see they are more prepared for the roads. And for example, our last mile operation, which is the most demanding one, we choose to do it with diesel, because the last mile operations requires for one pad, which is 2 or 3 or 4 wells, 40,000 tons of sand in 20 days, which is like 2,000 tons per day, or 70 trips from our storage facilities to the well. And we sometimes do 2 or 3 operations at the same time. So from the logistic point of view, last mile operation is extremely demanding and complex, and we need to deliver this huge amount of sand in time for the operation. So for this reason, we choose to do the last mile operation with diesel, because of the robustness of the truck, the autonomy of the tank, the replenish times, and the lack of CNG stations also near the locations, near the oil and gas fields. But we have this agreement with Iveco, and the maintenance is pretty similar for both of them.
Okay, so I'm gonna amalgamate or grab a bunch of similar questions here. A lot of questions in the comment section. Pardon me, around hydrogen. We're also running low on time, everyone. Around hydrogen. So we're going to do this kind of lightning round style. For each of the two fleets, what's your view around hydrogen? Would you consider it, Kelly?
Probably not at this time, and for only one reason. We currently run diesel trucks, CNG trucks, and we're been dabbling with an electric truck. And to add another fuel source into our mix is confusing, complicated, and stuff. So we've had such good success with the CNG that we just are going to go with that. Now, what I'm being told by our gas provider, Fortis, is that, we're looking at RNG in a big way, and they're looking at a blend. I don't know a lot about that. I hope to learn more. Putting hydrogen in with their RNG. That sounds very
low, right?
It is 0.02. But we are looking at options to test engines with a different blend of hydrogen and natural gas. There are a few complications that usually happen with blending hydrogen and natural gas, but we cannot, unless we complete the test. I think it'll be unfair to put out a statement to say what that impact would be.
So, some of the gas utilities are talking about blending, 5 and 20%. I know that I'm speaking on behalf of companies like Westport. I know they've been actively testing a variety of blends. They have some pretty good ideas. Again, not very many companies, particularly OEMs, that have to offer warranties, are going to stick their necks out too far in it. So there's a lot of kind of academic discussion about, can we do 5%, 20%, what have you, and a lot less companies being prepared to stake a reputation. So it's understandable, but it's just something for folks to keep in mind. I put Puneet on the spot, but I also knew I was putting him on the spot.
It is a hot topic at the moment, and I think there is no study to say that a blend beyond 20% can be taken by the appliances that we've got at home as well. And so I think there is a lot to happen between us saying that we want to try and spit out 5% blend to 15% blend in the pipelines, and then
right.
I think that's a bigger question.
From the perspective of either Nicolás or Kelly, I mean, they already were sort of thumbs down. I don't want to do hydrogen at all. I'll get to the comment on this, but I mean, the real risk with the hydrogen blending for the fleets that are using current product is it can have an effect on that question of maintenance and longevity of the engines, right? Would that, for either Kelly or Nicolás, would that be a sort of concern as well?
Well, I think for me, I just don't understand it enough yet. And I'm not even saying that I wouldn't do hydrogen. It's just at this moment, to introduce another fuel source is challenging. And so, and even for my own time in researching it, it's a bit of an undertaking that I just haven't done yet. So I like to say that ColdStar and myself, we're open to whatever's coming down the pipe next. That's better for the environment and our staff and our customers. But there's a process you have to go through to get there.
Absolutely. And Nicolás,
that
would be a concern. Yeah,
I think the hydrogen is not yet so much evolved, as CNG. I mean, there's a lot of things to keep testing, as you say, the blending. If it brings mechanical issues or maintenance, but we are convinced right now. Innovation here is CNG trucks. We have the biggest CNG fleet in Latin America, and that's a lot of innovation, one step at a time.
Exactly. Now, look, I've tried to keep on top of all of these questions. We had a little interruption and a hiccup there. I think I've covered as many as I can. I suspect I've already suggested that we need to have another discussion about the European fleet market, because that was supposed to be part of today's. I suspect we could have Puneet on here for an hour just talking about even just the single 15-liter Cummins product. What I'm going to commit to do is we'll see what additional sessions we can develop in the future. Bring some different panelists back and maybe unpack a few more issues. I think overall we've got a pretty good sense of the kind of innovations that's been required to deploy natural gas vehicles around the world. It's being used in a couple of very different types of applications. And we've got OEMs like Cummins, like Volvo, like Iveco that are clearly committed to developing products, innovating next generations of those products with an eye to providing fleets with some choices to reduce their emissions and to keep their costs under control too. Let's not forget that. In a world where there's increasing pressure on all of us to find those emissions reductions. So I want to thank all of the panelists for joining me. I think we'll probably be, some of us, we chat a lot. We're chatting more. Thanks to Julie for setting this up. And like I said, I've threatened we'll probably do some more of these. So you're not rid of me yet. Julie.
Thank you, Bruce. So it's already time to conclude, as Bruce said. So we just want to thank all the participants for taking 1 hour in your busy schedule to be with us. I would like to thank our 3 panelists, Puneet, Nicolás, and Kelly, for agreeing to participate to this webinar and share your perspective. I also want to thank my colleague Bruce for moderating this panel. It was a great discussion. Thank you all for your participation, and we hope you will join us again for our next webinar in March. Please stay in touch by visiting igrc2024.org. Have a great day.